Welcome to Daily Dose of Satanism, your podcast to get your daily dose of Satanism. I'm your host, Satan Wolf. I'm an author of Satanic books, as well as my blog, which you can check out at satanwolf.com. It's 100% free. Now, we do have some really cool merchandise that you can purchase, from books to clothes and accessories. There's a wide selection of both satanic and non-satanic products to choose from for those who got a rebellious sense of style. While we always appreciate your support, this is the best way to support the show. You can also give us a like or a share or a subscription at any one of our multiple platforms, from Facebook to Spotify. Thank you very much and enjoy the show. Welcome back. Today we're taking a deep dive into the philosophy behind the words we speak and the ideas we hold. Our focus is a powerful passage from the Book of Satan, Part 1, Verse 6 from Anton LaVey's The Satanic Bible. It reads, "I dip my finger in the blood of your infant mad Redeemer and write over his brow the true Prince of Evil, the King of Slaves." And this verse is a rejection, a declaration of independence. But what does it really mean? It's not about literal blood or literal kings. It's about ideas. The infant mad Redeemer is a symbol of a promise that a higher power will save you from yourself. A promise that, in our view, robs you of your own power. And in the satanic worldview, the Prince of Evil isn't a demon, it's the defiant individual. It's the person who lives for themselves, embraces their will, and refuses to be controlled. This is a claim to that identity, not a surrender to malevolence. And finally, the King of Slaves. Who is this King of Slaves? It's the one who promises a reward of an afterlife in exchange for a life of servitude. It's the shepherd to a flock. This verse is our own ultimate refusal to be part of that flock. We do not kneel to a king of slaves. We rule our own lives. We see our blasphemy as our opposition to God, not as a mindless act of rebellion, but as a deliberate and necessary act of defiance. It is akin to a rebel freedom fighter standing against an oppressive tyrannical regime. This is a fundamental philosophical battle. The shame that so many are taught to feel, the intolerance they harbor towards others, and the fear they live with. We see all of that as terrible wastes of the one precious life we have. Satanism teaches us to reject that shame and to embrace our authentic selves and to spend our limited time enjoying the beauty and freedom that existence has to offer. Now, for me, I particularly love this verse because it's when Christians particularly love to be like, oh, well, why not? And there is so much wrong in the world that comes from religion of all sorts. But just in particularly right now, we'll just speak about Christianity, the intolerance towards gays, which is totally unnecessary. Let me see, there's it's our way or no way at all. And then once people go to this evangelism, I mean, they're literally like annoying the hell out of the rest of us. They're, causing all kinds of problems with that. But it's on a much bigger level. See, that's like little things. Globally, people die over this all the time. More people die over religion than any other cause. And I dare anybody to prove me different. That to me is the problem. People just formulate the ideas, and if you ask them why they believe, they're going to run you through a couple of logical fallacies, and they're going to land somewhere on what is there to lose. If I'm right, I live in heaven forever, and if you're wrong, you're going to burn in hell. But if, no, that's not a good reason for me to believe in something.
It's now time for the Satanic verse of the day. Satanic verse of the day. I am your host, Satan Wolf. Satanic verse of the day.
Daily dose of Satan.
SatanWolf.com.
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 And now for our regular segment, the Satanic verse of the day, from my own book, Satan Wolf's Grimoire. This verse today is coming from Satanic verse number 446. It reads, "Never repeat the transgression that necessitated the apology. Such recidivism reveals a lack of general remorse." Now, this verse is a masterclass in personal accountability. It is so much more than a simple suggestion to not make the same mistake twice. It's about the very nature of remorse. We're all human. We all mess up. We apologize. But the real measure of our character isn't just in words we say. It's in the change that follows. This verse teaches us to cut through the noise of empty apologies. If someone keeps doing the same thing again and again and again, their words of "I'm sorry" become meaningless. This recidivism, the repeated action, reveals that they were never truly sorry for the transgression itself, just for the consequences. This is a core part of living with genuine integrity. And if we're not going to put up with that treatment from somebody else, then therefore, as Satanists, isn't it our duty not to give that to nobody else? So if you're going to make an apology, be sure first that you're willing to make the changes necessary to non-recidivism the action. If you can do that, by all means, go ahead and give your apology and then make the changes necessary to show its sincerity. Otherwise, keep your apology for yourself until you're ready to make some change off of it. Then your apology isn't really sincere and you would just be a hypocrite.
Daily dose of Satan. Daily dose of Satan. Daily dose of Satan.
SatanWolf.com.
SatanWolf.com.
All right, I want to derail for a minute and just talk about something else for a bit before we go ahead and conclude today's show. I know this is a little bit of a short one, so there were some other things I had discussed or written about earlier I wanted to bring to the table. So I just want to talk for a second about why I made the podcast in the first place. And to be quite honest, it's because there's really not a lot of good podcasts for Satanists out there. Okay, there are some, but there's not many. I can barely put the word "some" on it. And for me personally, I really only like one. I haven't heard of another one that I like yet. But I feel like just like with any other religion, just how like somebody who wants to, practice Christianity, and if you're serious about it, you might like to have something to listen to, some intellectual brain food that's for coming from somebody with a like-minded thoughts. It thinks like you. We come from the same religion. We are all we're all our own gods. See, that's like when it comes to Satanism, you do not go to the Church of Satan or a priest of Satan like you would in a Christian church for leadership. That's not the way we work. You can go to somebody from the Church of Satan or a satanic priest to get insight, and people might point you in the right direction on some stuff, They'll help you along the way, but ultimately the responsibility is yours. That being said, so, if I wanted to put something out there for us Satanists, some intellectual brain food, and it's just something we can have to listen to that is our own. And I hope that you guys can appreciate what we're doing, and I apologize for the unprofessionalism of it. Like, I do not record out of a studio. I'm sure you guys hear everything from cars and helicopters and gunshots and dogs and who knows what else. I live in a very violent city, and I always have my dog with me, and sometimes I do record on the go. Right now, being crippled, I'm trying to rehab myself, so I walk multiple times a day. And that's when my brain goes into this thought processes, So if I'm thinking of something, I want to go ahead and record it wherever I am, at the park or in my neighborhood. So sometimes you guys might notice some of that. And so anyway, I just want to talk for a second about the show, why I started it. And I hope you guys are enjoying it. All right, I want to derail for a minute and just talk about something else for a bit before we go ahead and conclude today's show. I know this is a little bit of a short one, so there were some other things I had discussed or written about earlier I wanted to bring to the table. One thing I think started doing when I became a Satanist and started getting a good understanding of it is it's like you'll see Satanism everywhere or in everybody. You'll be watching a TV show and be like, this character is acting very satanic. Or maybe an actor, comedians especially, lots of those, the devil loves comedy. Even in the music industry, the Suicide Boys, Saliva Gray and Red Zed and all of them, they talk about it, sort of. But it's just like the Satanists that I found in my city that I have met so far, the people that claim to be Satanists, they don't really practice Satanism. They revere Satan. So far, I haven't met one that doesn't actually believe in him as a literal being here, so that's pretty bad. Devil worshippers calling themselves Satanists makes us look bad. And I haven't found another authentic one yet that I've actually met more than just in brief passing, if that makes sense. But, things come in time. It is hard. We are a rare minority. And not everybody's necessarily always open about their religion like that. So you might be meeting people and not even know that you share the common belief system. Okay, I want to talk for a second about what I call the Bill M standard, and that's whenever I would think about something new or trying to create something and add anything. Like, I would always look to, would it hold up to the Bill M standard? If you listen to his podcast, you would understand, because he's pointed out a lot of the flaws with a lot of these things that have been tried before. So, like, before you go all off trying to go run around and create something, you might want to think about that just a little bit before you just go jumping off that ledge. Okay, so just to elaborate a little bit further, for me, it was like, when I started, it was things like, I wanted there to be a building that we could go to and there'd be other Satanists and meet each other. It sounds like a simple thing, right? But if you think about all the many complications behind that and what would come with that and how much it would take to make something like that happen, enough to make it even effective, it's not really plausible, okay? And then I would come up with some other ideas about, blah, 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 starting this thing or that thing or whatever. All these elaborate ideas come into your mind. And I know I'm not the only one, because that's how you get a lot of these groups. And it's okay. Satanists, we are meant to be ambitious people. And it's okay to have that level of ambition. But Anton LaVey mentions this in the Satanic Bible, that there will be many pretenders that will come for the crown, but they will all fade to dust. That's not exactly what he said, but you know the point that I'm talking about. and the message still rings true. You look at all these people coming out, none of them are making it. They're all falling apart. They're just come and go in time, and you don't even really see the Church of Satan responding to these things like that. You know what I mean? They're just kind of doing their thing, and these people are just destroying themselves, because it was never meant to work in the first place. And the last thing I want to say about this is that I'm not trying to break away from traditional Satanism or do my own thing, create a new thing. I'm not trying to be a separate group of pseudo-Satanism or nothing like that. I keep everything that I say to try to be in line with the teachings of Anton LaVey and the Church of Satan. And as things progress, I'll eventually apply for membership within the church and learn more about the structure. I'm sure I'll be able to share more than with you guys about what to expect. I don't really know what to anticipate either. We all think that this is going to be like this little black book that we all gain access to with all the secrets of Satanism, and I just don't really think that's what it's going to be. If you want to see something different than what there is in Satanism, yes, create it. Just try to keep it within the teachings of Satanism. Make sure that what you're doing is actually Satanism. And that's the Satanic way. If I want there to be a building that we can go to that's actually, true Satanism for all of us, besides whatever is existing now, that I can do that. But just as I wanted to be there, and I'm my own God, the responsibility to create that, it falls on me. And so in a small way, my podcast is that. I've seen a lack in something, so I created it.
Daily dose of Satan. Daily dose of Satan. Daily dose of Satan. Satanwolf.com.
Today we've explored the core of what it means to be an adversary, to reject the notion of a king of slaves, and to embrace the role of the self-ruler. We talked about the power of philosophical defiance and the importance of integrity in our daily actions. Our philosophy isn't just about what we're against, it's about the conscious, deliberate life we choose to live. Until next time, Put not your trust in mortals or gods. True power lies within. May critical thinking forever guide your path. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in hell. Take this night our right and trespass not on passive pain. Lead us unto temptation and deliver us from false piety. For this is thy kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever.
SatanWolf.com.
SatanWolf.com.
Daily dose of Satanism.